The thing that we really like is racial abuse.
That's right, black boy. That's all you're fit for.
Obviously, though, it sort of incites a lot of emotions, maybe from my past and from my growing up, that really angers me, and then I use that energy and I just punish.
I'm gonna prove that you're much better than the white man. Destroy his white woman.
Basically.
I've always been fascinated by Nazi roleplay.
You don't deserve shoes. You walk around barefoot.
Picking cotton from there.
You don't deserve these fancy clothes, do you? No.
The idea of the person having such hatred for you at first and you somehow managing to change their mind.
Right, little black girl.
Like that's always been part of the fantasy.
Race play is a really interesting phenomenon. I think for lots of people it's a way of reclaiming the degradation that was done to them. There's definitely an element of taking the power back by inhabiting the stereotype.
I've always loved drawing like things that are like slightly controversial, things that I draw down my own fantasies. One in the works at the moment, it's this black woman, and she's actually got the initials BB tattooed on her, branded on her, that stand for black bitch, and she's getting her bum beaten by this, stereotypical neo-Nazi. It doesn't mean that I dislike my ethnic background in any which way. It's just something that has always fulfilled me sexually.
Playing around with racial degradation or eroticising racial degradation and racial slurs, I find that problematic. On the one hand, people might say these are fantasies around big taboos in society around racism. That's not a way to deal with the very real problems of racism that we have in society today.
I think initially it was you just wanting me to do like accents. Just talk to me dirty as South African. No life and nothing with an animal. And then it's like, I want you to, just put me down as use some racial abuse in that. My sex slave, you nasty black boy. And yeah, and I think I was a little bit, to start with, like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. It might be a bit difficult, wasn't I?
She was definitely anxious about it. I could see she wasn't totally comfortable.
Useless black animal. But then as soon as I saw how he reacted to it and how much it drove him, like you said, sort of spurred him on, then I got a kick out of that.
I don't think you can progress your way as a human out of a legacy of racism, slavery and colonialism by eroticising and sexualising master-slave relationships. There's nothing progressive in getting off on that. Race relations are overwhelmingly negative. Let's not just see that as material that we can wank off to. Let's try and change that situation.
I have faced racism growing up. The area that I was, there weren't an awful lot of black people there. It was predominantly white people.
The excitement of doing something that or you've been told that is wrong. I think that does have a big part of it, but still.
Nobody ever chooses what gets them off. Nobody ever chooses, what they find attractive.
My friends know a lot about me. They know a bit about my relationship, but they thought at first that it was ridiculous, like I'm dressing in a toga, some proper slave worship. They're like, my ancestors didn't go through all of that hatred and everything to then be called a nigger or whatever, a slave in the bedroom.
He will say, I want you to be that South African the wife of a slave master. I want you to rub my feet.
It pushes my buttons because obviously I don't believe that I'm worthless. I do believe I have some value. I know who I am as a man. I enjoy her racial slurs because initially, you know, she starts off quite vocal, and she's always quite vocal, but after a while, I feel like I'm winning this battle.
I did say the N-word and you reacted a bit like, oh no, that was a bit too far. We tried it again later on and he loved it, and it's gone from there. So
she's obviously giving me these racial slurs, but at the same time, I'm providing her with so much pleasure that's gratification as well in a sense, but I'm punishing her at the same time.
I think it took time for me to feel like he trusted or knew me well enough to know that I definitely didn't mean it.
It's very, very erotic because there's so many things you can do with race play. They can be degrading about your race, but they're turned on by it. They'll still come out with very affectionate comments. It's just that bizarre balance.
We still had to build up to where you could trust me with, you know, wanting to play like that.
When you find someone else who you can talk about it with, then you understand it more, you understand yourself more, and you realise, actually, you know, maybe I shouldn't have felt so, you know, outcast about it for so long.